Let me start by saying something that might surprise you. There is nothing wrong with your body, not your lack of motivation, not your mood swings, not the days when you feel confident and magnetic, and not the days when you feel tired, bloated, and completely disconnected from yourself. If you've ever looked in the mirror and thought, "Why do I look amazing today?" And then, a week later, wondered, "Why do I feel like a different person?" This video is for you. I'm Dr. Rachel Moore. I'm a gynecologist, and I've spent years listening to women quietly blame themselves for something that is actually biological. One patient once sat in my office, crossed her arms, sighed, and said, "Doctor, I feel crazy. Some days I'm on top of the world. Other days I can barely recognize myself." I looked at her chart, smiled gently, and asked one simple question. "Where are you in your cycle right now?" She paused. I don't know. Why does that matter?" That question, "Why does that matter?" is exactly why we're having this conversation. Because no one taught you this. You were taught how to hide cramps, how to push through exhaustion, how to stay productive no matter what. But you were never taught how powerful your cycle actually is. Here's the truth most women never hear. Your body follows a monthly rhythm that affects your hormones, your brain chemistry, your skin, your posture, your voice, your confidence, and even how other people respond to you. And when you don't understand that rhythm, life feels harder than it needs to be. You start forcing yourself on the wrong days. You schedule important events when your body is working against you. You criticize your appearance when your hormones are simply shifting. And slowly, without realizing it, you begin to believe that the problem is you. It's not. There is a specific window in your cycle when your body is naturally optimized for confidence, attraction, and visibility. A time when things flow more easily, when you speak more clearly, when your skin looks brighter, when your presence feels stronger. You don't create that effect. Your body does. Most women never notice it consciously. They just think, "Oh, today is a good day." But what if you knew why? What if you could recognize that moment ahead of time and actually plan your life around it? That's what changes everything. And before you think this is about vanity or external validation, let me stop you right there. This is about energy. This is about alignment. This is about working with your biology instead of constantly fighting it. I've seen women cry in my office, not because something was medically wrong, but because they felt broken. "I can't be consistent," they tell me. "I start strong and then I crash. I don't recognize myself from week to week." And every time I want to say, "Of course you don't. You're not supposed to feel the same every day. Your body is not linear, it's cyclical." Before we begin, like this video and subscribe to the channel. Here, you get clear, honest medical information to help you protect your body and your health. And the moment you understand that, the shame begins to dissolve. Here's something I want you to hold on to as we continue. Your cycle is not an inconvenience. It's not something to get through. It's information, very valuable information. It tells you when to push forward and when to pull back, when to speak up and when to rest, when your body is more receptive and when it needs protection. But there's one phase in particular that women feel without understanding. They'll say things like, "I don't know why, but people noticed me more this week. I felt confident without trying. I didn't overthink everything." And then, just as quickly, it passes. They assume it was random. It wasn't. And once you learn to recognize that phase, you stop feeling at the mercy of your emotions or your appearance. You stop asking, "What's wrong with me today?" And you start asking, "Where am I in my cycle?" That single shift changes how you treat yourself. Now, I'm not going to throw hormone charts at you or overwhelm you with medical jargon. That's not the point. What I want is for you to understand your body the same way I explain it to my patients, clearly, honestly, and without fear. Because once you see how your cycle actually works, you'll realize something important. Those good days aren't accidents, and those off days aren't failures. They're signals. And in the next part, I'm going to show you what's really happening inside your body throughout the month, and why understanding that is the key to using your cycle instead of fighting it. Stay with me. Because once you see the pattern, the rest of your life starts to make a lot more sense. Now that you know there's nothing wrong with you, let's talk about what's actually going on inside your body. And I want you to listen to this the same way I explain it to my patients, calmly, without fear, and without judgment. Because the menstrual cycle is not just about bleeding once a month. That's the smallest, most visible part of a much bigger story. Your body is moving through a sequence of hormonal shifts every single month. These shifts affect how your brain works, how your skin behaves, how much energy you have, how social you feel, how confident you feel, and even how much tolerance you have for stress. And none of this is random. When women tell me, I don't recognize myself from week to week, I usually answer, that's because you're not supposed to be the same woman every week. Your cycle has phases, and each phase has a purpose. Think of it like seasons, not switches. Your body doesn't suddenly change overnight. It transitions, slowly, intentionally. Right after your period ends, your body enters a phase where estrogen begins to rise. Estrogen is not just a reproductive hormone. It affects your skin's collagen, your brain's clarity, and your sense of optimism. Many women notice that during this time they feel lighter. Thinking feels easier. Social interaction feels less draining. Some women tell me, I don't know why, but I suddenly feel motivated again. That's not a coincidence. That's estrogen doing its job. Your skin may start to look clearer. Your face may appear more rested. Your energy starts to come back online. This is the phase where your body is gently saying, you can move forward again. Then, as estrogen continues to rise, your body prepares for ovulation. And this is where things start to get interesting. Ovulation is not just about releasing an egg. It's a full-body hormonal event. Estrogen peaks. Testosterone rises slightly as well. And that combination has effects far beyond fertility. Your voice may subtly change. Your posture often becomes more open. Your tolerance for social interaction increases. Your confidence feels more natural, less forced. Women often describe this phase without realizing what it is. They'll say things like, I feel more like myself, or I don't overthink everything this week, or people are reacting to me differently. That's not in your head. Your brain chemistry is literally different during this time. Dopamine and serotonin activity shifts. Your body is more responsive. Your nervous system is more outward-facing instead of inward-focused. And this is important, so I want to slow down for a moment. When this phase passes, many women do something harmful without realizing it. They judge themselves. They say, why can't I feel like that all the time? What happened to my confidence? Why do I suddenly feel heavier, more emotional, more tired? What happened is not failure. What happened is a hormonal transition. After ovulation, progesterone becomes the dominant hormone. Progesterone is not a bad hormone. It's a protective hormone. It slows things down. It shifts your body inward. It prepares you for rest, digestion, and repair. But in a culture that rewards constant output, progesterone gets misunderstood. During this phase, many women feel more sensitive. Sleep may change, digestion can slow, the body may retain more water, the skin may react differently, emotions may feel closer to the surface. And instead of understanding this as a signal, women often turn it into self-criticism. I'm lazy. I'm too emotional. I'm losing control. No, your body is asking for something different. This is where guilt shows up. Guilt for canceling plans. Guilt for needing rest. Guilt for not feeling as attractive or outgoing. And here's what I tell my patients very clearly. Your cycle is not designed to keep you at peak performance every day. It's designed to keep you healthy over time. When progesterone is high, your body is more inward focused. Creativity may change, social tolerance may decrease. And that's not a flaw, that's a message. Then comes menstruation, the phase everyone talks about, but almost no one explains properly. Menstruation is not just bleeding, it's a hormonal reset. Estrogen and progesterone drop to their lowest levels. Energy is often lower. The body is shedding and renewing at the same time. This is the phase where your body is most honest. You may feel less patient with things that don't serve you, less willing to tolerate discomfort, more aware of what's not working in your life. Many women tell me, I get emotional right before or during my period. I tell them, you're not becoming irrational, you're becoming less filtered. Your cycle doesn't create emotions out of nowhere. It amplifies what's already there. And this is where I want you to pause and really hear me. None of these phases are better or worse. They are different roles in the same system. But because no one explains this, women grow up thinking they need to be the same version of themselves every single day. And when that's impossible, they blame themselves. Here's the loop I want to keep open for you. If your hormones can change how you feel, how you think, how you look, and how you interact, what happens when one of these phases actually enhances attraction, confidence, and presence? What happens when biology and aesthetics quietly overlap? You've probably felt it before without having language for it. A week where you felt visible without trying, where things flowed, where you felt aligned with yourself. That wasn't luck. That was your body speaking clearly. And now that you understand the rhythm, the next step is the most important one. Because once you know what each phase is doing, there's one moment in particular that changes how you see yourself completely. This is usually the moment in the conversation where my patients lean forward. They say, okay, Dr. Rachel, so when is it? And I can almost feel the mix of curiosity and skepticism in the room. So let me say it clearly. There is a specific phase in your cycle when your body is biologically wired to be more attractive. Not because you're trying harder, not because you changed your routine, but because your hormones are working together in a very particular way. That phase is ovulation. Now, before your mind goes anywhere dramatic, let me ground this in reality. This is not mystical. It's not about being seductive on purpose. It's about how hormones influence your body and behavior in subtle, measurable ways. Around ovulation, estrogen reaches its peak, and alongside it, there's a small but meaningful rise in testosterone. That combination matters more than most people realize. Estrogen improves skin hydration and elasticity. It supports collagen. That's why many women notice their skin looks clearer or more luminous during this time. Not perfect, just healthier. Testosterone, in small amounts, affects confidence, assertiveness, and posture. You may stand a little straighter, speak a little more clearly, make eye contact without overthinking it. And here's the part that surprises many women. You're not just feeling different. Other people are responding differently. Studies have shown that during ovulation, women are often perceived as more approachable and engaging. Again, not because you're performing, but because your body language shifts. Your nervous system is more outward-facing. Your energy is less guarded. I've had patients laugh when they realize this. They say things like, "That explains why everyone suddenly wanted to make plans with me," or "That's why my presentation felt so easy that week." Exactly. This is the phase where many women say, everything just flowed. Conversations felt natural. Decisions felt clearer. Confidence didn't require effort. And here's what I want you to hear very carefully. That doesn't mean you're only valuable or attractive during this phase. It means this phase gives you information. Because once you recognize it, you can stop misinterpreting your other phases as personal failures. Instead of saying, Why can't I feel like this all the time? You start saying, okay, my body is in a different mode right now. That shift alone is incredibly freeing. Now let's talk about application, because this is where strategy replaces self-criticism. If you know that ovulation is a time when your confidence, communication, and presence are naturally supported, you can plan accordingly. Important meetings, presentations, photos, social events, dates, conversations that require clarity or courage. This isn't about forcing productivity. It's about timing. I tell my patients, use your ovulatory phase like a tailwind. You still have to move, but the wind is helping you. And on the other side of that, when you're not in that phase, you stop demanding the same output from yourself. You stop punishing your body for doing exactly what it's designed to do. Here's a conversation I remember very clearly. A woman told me, I schedule everything based on my calendar, not my body, and I always feel like I'm failing. I asked her, what if your calendar worked for you instead? She went quiet. Then she smiled, because no one had ever suggested that. When you understand your cycle, you stop expecting ovulatory energy during your luteal phase. You stop scheduling high-pressure events during times when your body is more inward-focused. And suddenly, life feels less heavy. But let's talk about the other side of this, because this is where many women unknowingly sabotage themselves. What happens when you force aesthetics at the wrong time? Aggressive dieting when your body wants nourishment. Harsh workouts when your joints are more sensitive. Cosmetic procedures when inflammation is higher. Then you look in the mirror and think, why isn't this working? It's not that you're doing something wrong. It's that you're doing the right thing at the wrong time. Your body is not broken. It's communicating. And ovulation is one of the clearest messages your body sends. It says, this is a moment to be seen. Not constantly, not always, but intentionally. Here's another thing most women don't realize. When ovulation passes, progesterone rises, and your body shifts inward again. That doesn't mean the magic disappears. It means the focus changes. But if you don't understand that, you chase the ovulatory feeling. You try to recreate it with willpower, and that's when frustration starts. You say, why am I bloated? Why am I more emotional? Why don't I feel as confident? And instead of listening, you push harder. That's the opposite of what your body needs. Understanding ovulation doesn't mean clinging to it. It means respecting it. You use it when it's there. You release it when it's gone. And here's the emotional reward most women don't expect. Once you stop demanding the same version of yourself every day, you stop fighting your body. You stop waking up already disappointed. You stop treating rest as weakness. You stop tying your worth to how attractive or productive you feel. That's real empowerment. Now, I want to leave you with a question that should feel slightly uncomfortable. What if right now you're doing the opposite of what your cycle is asking of you? What if you're pushing when you should be protecting? What if you're judging when you should be resting? What if you're forcing beauty when your body needs gentleness? Because that's where the real cost shows up. And that's what we need to talk about next. Because ignoring your cycle doesn't just affect how you feel. Over time, it affects your health. And that's the conversation that brings everything together. Now let's bring everything together. Up to this point, the story has been simple, even if it felt uncomfortable at times. You started by fighting your body. You learned that nothing was wrong with you. You discovered that your cycle has a rhythm, and that one phase naturally supports confidence, visibility, and attraction. So the real question becomes, what do you do with this information? Because understanding your cycle is interesting. Using it is powerful. And this is where I want to be very clear with you, as a gynecologist and as a woman speaking honestly to another woman. Respecting your cycle is not laziness. It is not an excuse. It is intelligence. Your body is giving you data every month. When you listen to it, small decisions start to change everything. Let me give you an example I often use in my office. Imagine trying to drive a car while ignoring the fuel gauge. Some days the car moves easily. Other days it sputters. Instead of checking the gauge, you blame the car. You push harder on the accelerator. Eventually, something breaks. That's how most women live with their cycles. But when you start paying attention, you realize you can plan instead of panic. During the phase when your energy is rising, you initiate. You start. You explore. During ovulation, you schedule what requires presence, confidence, or visibility. During the post-ovulatory phase, you simplify. You protect your energy. During menstruation, you pause, reflect, and reset. None of this is dramatic. It's practical. Women who begin aligning their routines with their cycle often tell me something unexpected. They say, I feel calmer, not more productive, calmer, because they're no longer fighting themselves. Now let's talk about aesthetics, because this is where a lot of misinformation lives. Using your cycle to your advantage doesn't mean obsessing over your appearance. It means understanding timing. Your skin, joints, digestion, and nervous system respond differently throughout the month. When you schedule aggressive treatments, intense workouts, or restrictive behaviors without considering this, results suffer. That's when women say, nothing works for me. It's not that nothing works. It's that your body wasn't ready. When you stop forcing aesthetics during times of higher inflammation or sensitivity and instead focus on nourishment, hydration, and gentler care, your body responds. Not instantly, not magically, but consistently. This is where self-trust begins. Now I want to shift the tone slightly because there's an important responsibility that comes with this knowledge. Not every cycle feels smooth. Not every woman experiences clear phases, and that matters. If your cycle is extremely irregular, if your symptoms are intense, if your mood swings feel unmanageable, if your acne, hair loss, or fatigue feel constant rather than cyclical, that is not something to ignore. Your cycle should feel like information, not chaos. When I see patients with severe PMS, missing periods, or cycles that feel unpredictable, we look deeper. Hormonal imbalance, thyroid issues, nutritional deficiencies, stress overload, these things are common and they are treatable. Listening to your body also means knowing when to ask for help. This is not about doing everything alone. It's about knowing when your body is asking for support instead of silence. And I want you to hear this clearly. If your cycle feels like an enemy, that is not just how it is. If you feel disconnected from your body most of the time, that's a signal. If you're constantly exhausted, inflamed, or emotionally overwhelmed, your body is not failing you. It's asking you to pay attention. The goal is not perfection. The goal is partnership. Now let's come back to the bigger picture. At the beginning of this video, you may have recognized yourself in the struggle, the self-judgment, the confusion, the feeling that something was off, but you couldn't name it. Then you gained awareness. You saw the pattern. You understood that your body moves in phases, not flaws. And now you're standing at the reward. The reward is not looking a certain way every day. It's knowing why you don't. It's planning your life with your biology instead of against it. It's treating yourself with respect instead of pressure. And once you experience that shift, you don't go back. Because here's the truth. When you stop demanding the same version of yourself every day, you become more consistent over time. When you stop chasing constant attraction, you feel more confident. When you stop fighting your cycle, your body stops fighting back. This is the foundation of natural health and real self-care. Now, I want to leave you with something to think about. Each phase of your cycle deserves its own conversation, its own strategy, its own respect. We've talked about the rhythm, the peak, and the reset, but there is so much more to explore. What to eat during each phase, how to train during each phase, how to manage emotions instead of suppressing them, how to plan work, relationships, and even rest in a way that feels supportive instead of exhausting. That's where we're going next. So here's what I'd love for you to do. In the comments, tell me this. Which part of your cycle do you struggle with the most? And if this conversation helped you see your body differently, subscribe to the channel. We're going to keep breaking down these topics clearly, honestly, and without fear. Your cycle is not something to endure. It's something to understand. And once you do, you stop surviving your body and start working with it. If this helped you, like the video, subscribe, and share it with someone who needs to hear this. The right information can prevent pain, fear, and serious health problems.